good morning, everyone. Hope you've had a good week. This has been a very good trading week for so many people. The events on the economic calendar have been very favorable for so many people. If you trade news, some people only trade news and they don't do technical analysis. They only look at events on the economic calendar. Then they take a decision from the impact from those events, mostly the political events. And this week has it has been quite good as far as these events are concerned. The speech from the president of Ukraine had it had a bullish impact on especially the euro and the GBP. And for those who are trading, basing on that event, they weren't really disappointed by that. Maybe yesterday's news, the rates from the Bank of England was that increase in rates, and we saw the chart of GBP USD falling down. The fall was very sharp. We're going to take a look at that, but we shall first take a look at today's events and see what is impacting the charts today. So let's just take a look at just a few events today on the economic calendar. There are not so many. There are very, very few. So the first one is at 3:30. Retail sales affecting the Canadian dollar. So this one is month over month. You first check your time zone to make sure your GMT plus 3 hours, and then you can move forward. So retail sales month over month affecting the Canadian dollar. Previous figure there is negative 1.8%. The consensus is 2.4%. That's a very big, that's a very positive change, which will have a bullish impact on the Canadian dollar later on today at about 3:30. So that will be a very good event to end the week. That will be a very good event to end the week. Maybe after that, there will be the retail sales with an exception of autos. So that is also at 3:30 affecting the Canadian dollar month over month. Previous figure is negative 2.5%, and the consensus is 2.4%. That's another big increase. And so these are all month over month events. You realize that a country like Canada, being a very big oil exporter, a lot has been left to it since Russia and Ukraine. Both countries are now somehow facing sanctions because they're in this war, and Ukraine can't do much about it. Russia is, there's a lot going on there. So, for the oil sector, Canada is one of the countries that has to step in. By default, it has to step in to fill that gap of Russia. And if you've noticed of recent, so many Canadian events are really, really positive for the Canadian dollar. They're somehow, fortune has caught them on the right side of this war. Then later on, at around 9 p.m., a speech from the Federal Reserve, and this is Michelle Bowman. So she will be speaking. She will be speaking at 9 p.m. of our time. 9 p.m. of our time. So you can wait for that event. So that will be a very nice way of closing your trading week with with all these events. So 9 p.m. there will be that speech. Given the fact that it's so many countries that are being affected by the war, all their speeches, even if it is medium impact, the impact could be very big based on what's happening in the world right now. So whatever is going to be spoken about is going to definitely have an impact on the market today. So those are the events affecting maybe just one more event affecting the euro. That is at 1 p.m. That is labor cost. So the previous figure there is 2.5%, and the consensus is 1.3%. So this this one here is affecting the euro. It's sort of there's a reduction in the labor cost The impact, you'll see it at 1 p.m. There's also trade balance there. Very low impact events. Very, very low impact events, but so all those are the events that are affecting the charts today. So there are only about there are two high impact events. There is the Bank of Japan press conference. I think it's taking place right now. We started at 9 a.m. So we shall look at the impact on all these charts that have the Japanese yen, and they have been that JPY has been very, very bullish for quite some time. If you look at the USD Jpy, look at it right now. It's really shooting above all expectations. It has been very, very bullish, and this week and last week were very, very exceptional. And that press conference, without a doubt, it has contributed to a lot of this volatility today. You can look at the market impact there. These are past two candlestick, the 1 hour candlestick. You can see how they have both moved upwards. If we measure them, it's about 20 pips. There's about 200 points in there in a very safe zone. So for that and that press conference, it could still be going on if you're watching some Japanese television somewhere with subtitles, of course. But for the people who watch Japanese anime, even if there are no subtitles, I'm very sure you can understand what's happening there. You just watch it and there. Anyway, so this USD JPY, it's facing this point of resistance. We have, I think the body of these candlesticks is just there, and we're having a clean break. So there is a clean break taking place there. We don't yet have a confirmation that this point has been broken, but you can keep an eye on it for some time and see what to do about it. Maybe we can also load in this RSI. Sometimes you have to load these things over and over so that you get some kind of a sense of what's taking place. So here we have the lower highs on the RSI, and definitely here we have some kind of higher highs there, so we could probably be having some kind of divergence. So if this is going to be a reversal, these are the high points, and this will be the determinant of a reversal. If price breaks below that point, the price there is 117.747. So if the price breaks below this area of support, we can be guaranteed of some kind of a reversal taking place there. We can start trading downwards. The Fibonacci retracement levels there will guide us in that way. You can see the 23.6 also at that low level, very close to this other point of support. So that can be the safest place to get out if we have a reversal. The 38.2, 50.0, there is a good respect for those levels. If you look at the history, there is some very good resistance there, some good support there. And the 61.8, there is both resistance and a clean break. So they look very significant for now, but to activate all those selling orders, we shall need to first break this first point of support in that price movement. So that's the USD JPY. Let's move on to another chart. So the affected charts for today, we have this Canadian dollar, with all these events. The other events in that at 3:30, we've only looked at the retail sales month over month and the retail sales, with an exception of autos. But there are also a number of very low impact events. There is the Canadian portfolio investment in foreign securities. That is one of them. there is a negative of $21.21 billion. There is that. That one is for January. There's also the foreign portfolio investment in Canadian securities. So here there is what Canada has invested in foreign securities, and this is what the foreigners have invested in Canadian securities. Yes, that one there, the figure is negative $37.56 billion. So these ones, there is no consensus. There is no, it's very low impact event, but you can see how the stock market has made it to, to impact an entire country. That's how big the stock market is. And yeah, the other events there are housing price index month over month, and the new housing price index year over year. So these events don't really have a consensus. The private organizations haven't really provided a consensus there to look up to, but let's just take an example of one of these charts. You can look at the historical data by clicking on this dashboard. You can look at the historical data of that chart, and okay, it is loading. You can look at the historical data of that chart, and you can make your predictions from there. You can see the likelihood of what's going to take place there. It's a bit slow, but yeah. But where there's no consensus, you go deep into it and you study more about that particular event, and then you take your decision. So at 5 p.m. there is the existing home sales month over month affecting the US dollar. You can see the previous figure is 6.5 million, and it's expected to drop to 6.1 million. That is a negative for the US dollar. Then there is the existing home sales change. The previous was 6.7%, and now it is negative 1%. Yeah, that's a very big decrease there. Then there is the Baker Hughes US oil rig count. Now this one doesn't have a consensus, but the previous figure is 527. So for this one as well, you can look at the historical data. Yeah, so here we have a data chart. Okay, yeah, so we have some good historical data here. This one is for the Canadian portfolio investment in foreign securities. Yeah, so the last release was $21.29 billion. Yeah, so this is a historical data that shows us, this one is for the whole period from 2008 up to today. It's been moving like this, so you can know what to expect from that. So if you look at the previous events in the historical data, that was just a chart. We can see that there have been quite some changes from 5.5 to 17.61 to 21.29. So there has been some good, the improvement has been there. So 21 being a previous figure, 21.29. Yeah, that is quite, it's not so bad. So we could most likely expect an improvement this time because of the because of so much, but that is the portfolio investment in foreign securities. So if some of those securities are in some countries which are in Europe and some are affected by the war, it could come out a little bit negative. So all these events that do not have a consensus, you can look at, you can go deep into them and search for that historical data, and then get you get a very good example of what's going to happen. Okay, so this is a USD Jpy. This one is in a 1 hour chart. So on Monday we shall have some good examples of what will be happening there. Very quick look at Bitcoin. It's still at $40,000. The change isn't so big from yesterday. It's just it's just within that range. We drew these Fibonacci retracement levels on a very big time frame, and we have the price of Bitcoin in between the 38.2 and the 50.0 Fibonacci levels, and now we're just somewhere in between there. That is at $40,000. So the 38.2 is at $43,000 and the 50.0 is at $35,000. So once price breaks one of those levels, we shall probably have some good price movement in Bitcoin, and if you're an investor there, you can make your profits. Okay, now this is Brent Crude Oil. It's starting to make a comeback, moving to those higher prices. There are so many talks that are taking place, especially affecting oil, and this weekend will provide very good information for what to expect on Monday. Now, we might not see this chart moving throughout the weekend, but on Monday we are guaranteed to see some price movement there. Okay, so let's look at the GBP USD. It's a chart of interest, especially with yesterday's events. So that was the drop yesterday with the interest rate decision. And if we're going to take a look at that event actually, because it's quite important. It's very, very important. So shall just look at yesterday. Just click on yesterday and then you apply. The data in these economic calendars is very, very well structured. So these are the events of yesterday. The Bank of England minutes, the asset purchase facility, there were no numbers released. Then the interest rate decision went up from 0.5% to 0.75%. The vote to cut the rate was 0. The vote to hike the rate, there was 8 votes out of 9. Then only 1 voted to keep it unchanged. So all this together brought the price, it brought the rate of the pound sterling in US dollars, it brought it down by that much. So that fall alone had about 114 pips of the GBP USD. You can calculate and know how much money that was. So that was quite a lot anyway. And the bounce back, what price is moving back upwards about 70 pips, but we have some kind of resistance there. So there is a possibility that in this 1 hour chart, this has hit a reversal in a very long time frame. This is in the 4 hour chart. So in the 1 hour chart, we have some kind of a reversal, but in the 4 hour chart, it's still some kind of bullish movement. So that could be a little bit tricky. So let's see how to handle it. So we can start by looking for the strength in these charts. And so looking at the GBP USD, in the 4 hour chart, we have a real case of divergence there in this previous price movement. A very nice case of divergence. And that one, the highest point was there. And yesterday provided a very nice break, take profit hit for this top, which was quite, that was quite good. So according to the 4 hour chart, we're in some kind of a bullish movement and prices could continue upwards. But in the 1 hour chart, there's a possibility that there is some kind of a reversal there, a very, very big possibility. So, but it could be just a small retracement. If we look at the Fibonacci retracement levels, we have this price being supported exactly at the 50.0 and it is now at the 23.6. So in order to continue buying, we shall obviously have to wait for price to break these levels above in the 1 hour chart, and to sell, maybe breaking below this 61.8. That could be the best call to sell. So selling right now is a bit risky and prices are within some kind of no man's land. You can do some scalping there on very small time frames, but Yeah? But on these big time frames, you have to really be careful with what you do. You have to wait for price to break a resistance above or a support below, and waiting for that to happen is, it's part of the game. You have to really wait and be patient and be very sure of where price is headed. If you just take a decision, anything can happen. So in the 4-hour chart, we wait for that upward movement, and if it actually takes place, then we shall have some guidelines of the Fibonacci retracement levels moving upwards. Yeah, so we have prices right now are at this 23.6 with a very strong area of support and resistance for the price. It's really around the 23.6. So based on this 4-hour chart, I could easily trade upwards to the 38.2 if there is significant price movement headed to that area. There are about 89 pips to the 38.2 and about 164 pips to the 50.0 and about 240 pips to the 61.8. You can see how these levels have very strong points of resistance and support, and they are quite significant based on these retracement levels. Yeah, so that's for the GBP USD. But yesterday's price movements are based on the basing on those rate changes of the Bank of England. That was the impact. It was quite, it was negative on the GBP. Yeah, even if it was negative for the GBP, for the traders, we could have collected a very good number of pips there. So we're going to take a break right now, and when we return, we're going to look at more charts. We're going to do analysis and see how the week is ending here, and we can probably see how we can start off the week next week on Monday. Yeah, so we're going to do some analysis here, and then we are going to follow it up on Monday. Yeah, so we're going to be looking at that just after this break.
Smart 24, driving business. Smart 24, driving business.